Shalom. I want to start out by saying Barak Atah Yahweh, Barak Atah Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, Call Hello Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. There is no hell. There's no Hades. Right? When you come in the volume of the book, you know the wicked and the righteous go to hell, Sheol, Sha'awal. There's no hell. And all the scriptures agree with it. Acts 24 verse 15. And have hope toward God, which they themselves also allow, that there shall be a resurrection of the dead, both of the just and the unjust. And the Apostle Paul's right. The just are going to wake up, inherit the kingdom of heaven, incorruptible bodies, inherit a crown of life. The unjust are going to inherit nuclear destruction, which is that lake of fire. They're going to inherit Yahweh Shah HaMashiach and his angels, zapping them with laser beams, and the heathen that are called by his name are going into slavery. That's hell. And the rest of the scriptures agree with it. This is Job 21 verse 29. Have you not asked them that go by the way? Do you not know their tokens, that the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction? They shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. That's exactly what the Apostle Paul was talking about. All right, that day of wrath is the judgment. All right, there'll be a resurrection of the just and the unjust. The just are going to get nuclear destruction, which is that lake of fire when you come in the volume of the book. And the remnant remaining gets zapped with laser beams from Yahweh Shai and his angels, and the rest are going to get rounded up into slavery. That's hell. All right? There's several types of hell, several types of heaven. All right? And you're going to find that out. You know, it's a spiritual book. They speak very metaphoric. It's a spiritual book. So, I'm a little unorganized. So here's Ecclesiastes 12:6. Wherever the silver cord be loosed, or the golden bowl be broken. All right, the silver cord, a cord binds. He's talking about the bind between body and spirit. The golden bowl be broken. All right, when you make your sacrifice upon the altar, the blood spills into the golden bowl. So he's literally talking about death, the moment of death. The pitcher be broken at the fountain, or the wheel at the cistern. You know, the wheel flowing with the water. He's literally talking about the heart breaking and stopping. He's talking about the moment of death. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it. So all spirits go back to the Heavenly Father. All right, keep that in mind. All right, so I'm going to jump into Jonah. All right. Jonah prayed unto Yahweh his God out of the fish's belly, and said, I cried by reason of my affliction unto Yahweh, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I, and thou heardest my voice. He's not talking about Hades, because there is no Hades. Hell is a condition. He's in a great condition of vexation of spirit, sorrow, despair. He's in a condition of hell. It's a metaphor. It's a spiritual book. All right. And Yahweh Shai Mashiach, you know, it was prophecy that he would speak of dark sayings of old and speak in parables. It's a metaphoric book. It's a spiritual book. Matthew 11:23, and now Capernaum. All right, Capernaum literally means village of comfort, which are exalted unto heaven shall be brought down to hell. All right, now it's not in the spirit world heaven, okay, and the kingdom of heaven is going to be here on earth. He's talking about them being in all this comfort, the condition of heaven, their minds, comfortable, living lavishly, shall be brought down to hell. And it literally was brought down to hell. All right, hell, the condition of the mind, destruction, and it means nuclear destruction. And Yahweh Shai HaMashiach and his angels zapping them with laser beams. It's a spiritual book. All right, so those are examples. All right, so the point being, when you get to this, 2 Peter 2:4, for if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, destruction, delivering them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, be a resurrection of the dead, both of the just and the unjust. And most people are automatically going to think the sons of God that went in the daughters of men. Those sons of God were a nation of people at that time before they were given the title of Israel. There's a chosen people back then. There's a chosen people now. Same thing. That was before the title of Israel. Those sons of God were basically Israelites. Thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith Yahweh, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. Throughout the scriptures, he says, Israel is my son. When you go into Psalms 82:6, I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High, sons of God. Even in the book of John, he says, what manner of love the Father has shown us that we should be called sons of God. All right, so those angels, all right, in the Hebrew, it's Makal. In the Greek, it's Agelos. Every time you see that, it could be rendered for people, armies, or spiritual angels. All right, he said, John the Baptist, my Agelos, my angel. All right, so he's talking about people. So who are those angels that sin in the old world? It's probably people from Korah's rebellion, the prophets prophesying peace when there was no peace during the time of Jeremiah. Throughout the books of Kings and Chronicles, you notice there's kings that did a lot of evil in the sight of the Heavenly Father, causing the people to sin and serve idols. Israel was big on it. The kingdom of Israel, serving other gods, and the whole nation of Israel, northern kingdom, was serving other gods. All right, angels. That's in the old world. He brought to hell. All right, destruction. Okay, just like Babylon, the Assyrian and Babylonian siege on them, brought them into slavery, killed a lot of them. Okay, there'll be a resurrection of the just and the unjust. Okay, so that's what that means. All right, you need to come in the volume of the book. If you don't come in the volume of the book and read the whole book and get the understanding, you'll never understand the New Testament. That's why you need to get with the men of great millstone. All right, so when you see on TBN, Christian Broadcasting Network, because I used to watch that stuff all the time back in the day before I came into truth. I'd see these people, they died and they were in hell, watching all these people in torment. There was even pastors there and wives and children. It's a lie. It's a lie, okay? And nobody's actually going after Trinity Broadcasting Network or Christian Broadcasting Network. No one's saying, no, here's the scriptures. Why? They're making merchandise of you. Deuteronomy 13:1. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, give it thee a sign, a wonder, and the sign of the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. Okay, so if it comes to pass, and the sign of the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, all right, what did the Heavenly Father say? Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for Yahweh your power proveth you to know whether you love Yahweh your God with all your heart and with all your soul. All right, so basically, in a shell, you guys are serving other gods. You're eating things, sacrificing the idols, committing spiritual fornication. All right, it's a big no-no. All right, ask the children of Israel what happened to them. 400 years of slavery. All right, the Northern Kingdom, Native Americans, Hispanics, they watched their children get dashed against the stones. They were burned at the stake, having their arms chopped off, fed to dogs, watched their wives get raped, murdered. I mean, all of them. Okay, Heavenly Father will require it. And again, Malachi 3:6, I am the Lord, I change not. So, just want you to understand that. Hopefully that helps. You got to get into that Greek and Hebrew, and you got to come in the volume of the book. All right, and a lot of people have that hiccup where the worm dieth not and the fire is not quenched. It's a metaphor. All right, worm is a metaphor for corruption, just like that serpent crawling on its belly and dust it shall eat. Dust is a metaphor for confusion. All right, so this is John Gill commentary. I'm going to go to Mark 9:44 just to give you an idea. All right, he's from the 1600s. He's the only person to ever write a commentary on every verse of the Bible. He had a little more insight. He goes off, but at least he calls out, the papacy and all that, and he does have a lot of insight. All right, where their worm dieth not and the fire is not quenched. The passage referred to is in Isaiah 66:24. All right, that's what Yahweh HaMashiach was quoting. And as there the words are spoken of such as transgress against the Lord, so here of such as offended any of Hamashiach's little ones, or offended by a hand, a foot, or an eye, and retain them by the worm is meant their conscience. Okay, it is a metaphor for corruption, because when they cast dead bodies out into the valley of Hemon, Tobit, a lot of times the word hell is translated hell from the Greek word Hemon or Tobit. They'd see the dead bodies, they see worms crawling inside their head. It's a metaphor for the body of corruption. All right, the unjust aren't going to get incorruptible bodies. The worm is meant their conscience, for as a worm that is continually gnawing upon the entrails of a man gives him exquisite pain, so the consciences of sinners will be continually flying in their faces, bringing their sins to remembrance, accusing them of them, upbraiding them with them, aggravating them, tormenting them for them, filling them with dreadful anguish and misery, twinging remorses and severe reflections, and which will never have an end. This will be always the case. Conscience will be ever distressing, racking, and torturing them. It will never cease nor cease doing this office. And so the Chaldee paraphrase of Isaiah 66:24 renders this phrase, their souls shall not die, but shall ever continue in the dreadful torments and unspeakable horrors of a corroding conscience. All right, the Israelites are brought here on cargo slave ships. Native Americans, they all knew they were Israelites. When you go deep into history, I guarantee you, while they were watching their children get dashed against the stones, their wives raped, murdered, body parts chopped off, when they saw their brothers going into slavery, I know in their minds they're going, man, Deuteronomy 28th chapter, we fucked up. It's the Heavenly Father's judgment. Those were the curses. But shall ever continue in the dreadful torments and unspeakable horrors of a corroding conscience. And by the fire may be meant the fire of divine wrath let into their souls, which will never be extinguished. And so Jarkai interprets the phrase in Isaiah 66:24, their fire in hell. It is a tradition of the Jews that the light fire, which God created on the second day, there is no quenching it forever, as it is said, for the worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched. The passage which is here referred to, the reason they give is because it is the fire of hell. Destruction, the sense of which is sometimes given by the Jewish doctors thus, their worm shall not die from the body, fire shall not be quenched from the soul. It's a condition. All right, again, there'll be a resurrection of the dead, both of the just and the unjust. Just inherit the kingdom of heaven. The unjust, all right, they're going to be resurrected, eat some nuclear missiles, which is that lake of fire. Okay, people that survive, there's going to be people who are going to be zapped by the laser beams of Yahushua HaMashiach and his angels, and the heathen that are called by his name are going into slavery. That's hell. Anyways, I hope this was edifying. Kind of, I hope you paid attention, and scriptures all agree with each other. They cannot contradict each other. Scriptures cannot be broken, and I hope that kind of raised eyebrows. All right, when you come in the volume of the book, you understand the wicked and the righteous go to hell, Sheol. All right, that's where you get the word hell from, Sha'awal. Anyways, with that, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, Kol Halo Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, double honors, apostles, elders, who are the holy apostles, prophets, mention the book of Revelation, bless the Akim that are pushing the word in true sincerity. And to all you men of Great Millstone, I say Barakatam, Bahashem Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, Wahab, Racha, Kadash, Shalom.